Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh yeah! Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Banner 19.
Beat Rob, Jam Packard, J. King.
Still Poddable, still Poddable.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Still Poddable, still Poddable.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh yeah! Shut your ass up, man.
My daddy's always halfway in here.
Welcome back to Still Poddable, the best Celtics podcast here on Al Gore's Internet. I am Sam Jam Packard, joined by Jay King from The Athletic. We are coming to you live.
You didn't call me the kid, the god, the legend.
Well, no, I kind of do new thing every single time.
No, you don't. You've been saying Al Gore's Internet since the beginning of time.
That's true.
You never spice things up.
Well, you do the intro then. Okay, let's start it over. You want me to press the intro again? Then you, okay, let's just like, now you do the intro.
Welcome back to Still Poddable, baby. It's Jay King from The Athletic here with Sam Jam Packard, a true legend from some law firm in Philadelphia.
Nailed it.
An all-time professional sports fan himself and an Ivy League educated student.
That's right. That's an Ivy League degree right there. All of this is a wonderful distraction from the fact that the Celtics just laid a absolute dud in Detroit. What excuse are we going to go with? No Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis being kind of sick and not having a great game. Long stretches of Jordan Walsh and Nemias Queta playing next to each other, or just the Pistons playing. It felt like 2.5 times with more effort than the Celtics did, and just absolutely dominating every aspect of this game other than the second quarter where the Celtics made 11 threes.
Felt like the back-to-back blues. A lot of back-to-back blues. Now, you don't always see the Celtics struggle on a back-to-back.
They were 12-2 last year on back-to-backs. Now they are 5-4.
But there have been a couple crazy duds in that mix. Like, do you remember the Milwaukee game last year when just nothing happened right? They benched the guys at halftime. This is another game like Joe went to the bench super early. He put guys at the scorer's table with like 6 minutes left when the Celtics were down 16, I think it was. Like, so they had a chance to cut it to like 14, 13. And guys are just at the bench. J.D. Davison's going in. Baylor Shireman's going in. So Joe saw nothing from his team that he liked that made him think that they could come back. It was a sloppy performance. My goodness, that first quarter was like Jason Tatum went back and forth from doing just incredible things with ridiculous shot making. He dropped Cade and hit a three, and then he would just have a dumb turnover and just forget that the Thompson twins are world-class defenders, and in this case, Osar Thompson. So it was just kind of a weird, ugly game where the Celtics never could get a rhythm. They shot crazy percentage in the first half. That was the only reason they were remotely close. They were tied at halftime. But other than that, they were just outclassed tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was an ugly kind of start to the game. You mentioned Celtics were up 20-18 with 2.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. And then I have in my notes, Thompson twins are special, 3 consecutive Tatum turnovers. And then they had a possession where Beasley got a wide open 3, rebound went right to him, and he just was able to take that wide open 3 right again. And so the Pistons closed that first quarter on this wild 11-0 run. The Celtics did some kind of crazy shooting of their own at the end of the second quarter, kind of pulled themselves back into this game. But it just in terms of defensive intensity, it felt like the Pistons had it the entire evening, and the Celtics, not once did I feel like they were playing solid defense. And the Pistons just came to play. They're a talented team. These are not last year's Detroit Pistons.
And they're riding high. They had a 7-game winning streak coming into tonight. It was a chance to throw their winning streak up against the defending champions. Felt like they approached this game like a big game, like a marquee game, like, one of the biggest games on their schedule. And the Celtics
Vincent
were like,
Goodwill said it was
we're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back in Detroit.
Yeah, Vincent Goodwill said it was the biggest home game in Detroit in a regular season in the last 15 years, which I think is hyperbole.
I think he said since 2008, right? That's even more.
That's 17 years.
Yeah.
And like that, like Blake Griffin had some solid seasons. I feel like they made the playoffs and they're probably under 500, but there had to have been some bigger regular season games than this random February game. I know the Celtics are doing well, and it's a big bounce back for the Pistons.
The fact that you could say that's someone who's followed the Pistons franchise closely, who is located in the Detroit area, would even say that is like, this was a huge game for the Pistons. The Celtics did not seem to approach it as such a big game, and that's how you got the Pistons just kind of, they kicked their ass the whole way through. Let's be honest about it. The Celtics hit a ton of threes, including a flurry toward the end of the second quarter to come back and tie it before halftime. But the Pistons were a notch above in intensity wise. Malik Beasley just kind of kicked the Celtics ass. The one play when Thompson twisted his ankle and then shot like just a,
why do you shoot that? Why he could have passed it to someone.
Dude, no, I respected him for shooting it. He was like, I just sprained my ankle. I don't know really what to do right now. And instead of just crumpling to the ground, letting the ball go, he shot that thing. And he jumped to shoot it. It probably hurt to go up there and go for it. But anyway, he missed the shot. Celtics had two guys right underneath the basket. And instead, Malik Beasley goes and gets it and puts it back in for a layup. Just not a sharp game for the Celtics, not an intense game for the Celtics. They were not on the same plane as Detroit tonight.
Yeah, the Celtics had 19 turnovers. Pistons got 24 points off that. Pistons had 29 fast break points and just absolutely dominated the paint, 62-20. And it just felt like the Celtics didn't really have a defensive answer. I mentioned Nemi and Jordan Walsh. Like that was the lineup that you kind of had to go with a shorter bench. No Luke Cornett tonight. He was out for personal reasons. And that's just a tough situation to try and put Jason Tatum in, and because he's been very, very good with bench lineups of late, but we're talking about two different benches here when there's no spacing with kind of these Walsh and Nemi minutes compared to, Pritchard, Hauser, Horford, and then Cornett. It's just an entirely different kind of approach to the game. And it didn't really seem like he handled it that well, but I can't really blame him because he was the entire kind of option on offense. When he was not in the game, the offense got even worse. It was just like Al Horford front rimming a bunch of threes, and then not much. And then Drew Holiday doing wacky Drew Holiday stuff. Drew Holiday has some of the most ridiculous 3-point attempts I've seen tonight in my entire tenure of watching Drew Holiday.
On the Drew Holiday scale, he was like full crazy Drew Holiday tonight. Sort of from the start. He went
immediately.
He went after, I think it might have been Tobias Harris. Like classic Drew goes after much bigger guy in the post and finished. Then went after another bigger guy and missed a layup. He shot. There was one player he shot like just an early post up against Cade Cunningham and shot like a crazy fadeaway.
Yeah, when they needed like better offense, it was like they was like having terrible basketball, and it was like, all right, fade away from Drew in the corner with 18 seconds left on the shot clock. I was like, that's just not what we needed. A couple of step back threes that came from nowhere, and he had one possession where he just like absolutely just threw the ball directly to, I think, Asar Thompson going the other way. It was just, and that was like right after he took a terrible three. This was on the Drew scale of games.
It was usually you get short circuit Drew for like one or two plays a game. This was more steady short circuit Drew. it would have been entertaining to Celtics fans, I'm sure, had it not helped the Celtics lose by 20 points to the Detroit Pistons.
It was 31 minutes and 17 seconds of short circuit Drew. Oh, no. He made that first bucket. I got to give him credit for making that first bucket against Tobias Harris. The question I have for you, and this is something I actually asked the first time the Celtics played the Pistons. How the hell did they end up with Malik Beasley? Like, why would the Bucks let that guy go? He just feels like he's a 40% three-point shooter and a pretty solid role player, and the exact kind of guy the Milwaukee Bucks would want to have on their team. And now he's just like the perfect guy to put around Cade. It turns out Cade's quite good when you surround him with shooting.
Yeah, not just shooting, but like they're just they have a totally different roster now. It's not even remotely similar to the roster that won 14 games last year that had the long ass losing streak. They just went and got vets. They got Beasley, they got Tobias Harris, and Tobias Harris is great, but he's also not Killian Hayes. You know, like Oscar Thompson is now in year 2, and he and his brother are supremely gifted physically, and also just know how to play the game, no angles, stuff like that. So it's just a totally different roster. Cade, you know, one more year away from the injury, is a different beast than he was last season. I'm sure that going through some of the struggles and kind of having to figure it out in a situation that was just terrible for him, especially like with no shooting, with a coach that was on his way out the door, with, you know, just dog shit players everywhere around him. He learned from that and got better from it. And now it's a much better situation. JB Bickerstaff has done a great job. And they're sort of feeling themselves. They're really feeling themselves.
You could see Malik Beasley kind of swaggering and talking shit, doing the too small to Sam Hauser. My favorite moment, not
that
as
was a crazy
fan,
shot.
It was a very
that was
crazy
a
shot.
super tough shot.
There was
Malik
like
Beasley
Beef
can shoot that
Stew
thing.
like skipping down the court. And I'm just a big Beef Stew fan. I've never really seen a highlight of his that involves a basketball play. It's mostly just off the court shenanigans. He leveled Peyton Pritchard in this game. Beef Stew just absolutely destroyed him. And it kind of looked like Beef Stew hurt himself more than Peyton Pritchard was hurt. But the Pistons are definitely feeling themselves, and they should be. They're on an 8-game winning streak. Where do you rank them right now in terms of teams in the Eastern Conference? Like, we've just seen them steamroll the Celtics after the Celtics have steamrolled the Knicks twice in the last 2 weeks.
They're still not near the class of the Eastern Conference. Not even close.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
I wouldn't put them ahead of Indiana.
I
would not put them ahead of Milwaukee. Again, a playoff series? You think they'd beat Milwaukee? You think that team's beating Giannis?
No, I think they're better than Indiana, though. I think they're 5th.
Like, they're fun, they're young, they're energetic, they're tough. They've got like a lot of players that clearly they're bought in. They're loving it right now. But
what makes them worse than Indiana?
Crown the Detroit Pistons.
Just that Indiana.
I'm not ready to put them as
a
top 4 team. Indiana did it last year. That offense has shown that it can be one of the best in the league. Defense has been better this year. Like, they have come on lately too. So
Indiana Pistons series. The Pistons have the best player in the series, right? Like, Scal's talking about Cade being first team All NBA. I don't know if I would go that far, but Cade
Scal was overreacting a little bit on that one.
But I think Cade's a better player than Halliburton. I think he's a better player than Pascal Siakam. I think Indiana probably has more overall talent. But if a Pistons team comes in and is playing this hard and this much like kind of defensive intensity,
I think they could beat.
First round out.
I think they could beat Indiana. I don't think they would beat Milwaukee.
Well, no, Giannis in the playoffs is very difficult to play against if he's healthy. Like, that guy is just an absolute maniac.
They're fun though. Detroit is, and they're tough. They've got just big, kind of strong dudes everywhere. They're athletic. They're strong. They're physical. Beef Stew is out there running around, setting crazy screens and boxing out
Jalen
like
Duren's
not.
pretty good. He's a pretty solid player. It's not amazing.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Duren guy, but he's been okay.
He's still like what, 22? Like he's still like he came in the league at like 16 years old, and so I think he's a solid player. You're right now, like looking at their bench. I'm a big Marcus Sasser fan. That guy plays a lot of energy. But I just think they're a solid team, and a team that like this that just plays super hard. I think that gets you. It definitely wins you games in February. Maybe I share in your skepticism if it translates directly to the playoffs. But I think they're a team that they've officially gotten the mantle, the cliche of team no one wants to play in the first round. Is that fair?
Why?
Because they play hard and they've got Cade, and Cade's a dominant offensive player who can do everything.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's too worried about anyone good is too worried about Detroit.
Out of the teams 4 through 8,
you're a prisoner of the moment right now.
Have you met me? This is a post-game fucking podcast. This is what you do in the moment.
There's no bigger prisoner of the moment.
Out of the teams 4 through 10 in the Eastern Conference, I think they're the team I would want the Celtics to play the least. In this moment right now,
you'd rather have them play Giannis?
No, they're the 4th seed. I'm talking about 5 through 10 then.
Milwaukee's 5 right now.
My understanding of the Eastern Conference in my own brain is Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, because that's how I think it's going to finish out.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have a timely discussion about the Detroit Pistons, dog. Like, it's a post-game podcast. You know,
I think the Magic are a more dangerous playoff team than
the Magic are Jalen Suggs merchants. If he's not playing, they're apparently a sub them 500 basketball team. He's apparently the straw that stirs the drink down there in
Jalen
Orlando.
Suggs is a good dude. That dude plays his buns off.
He absolutely does. Just for the folks watching out there live on the YouTubes, on the Twitter, if you like Still Poddable, we are Monday through Friday Celtics podcast. Go to patreon.com/Still Poddable. Subscribe today. Our next pod will be coming live to you after the big game against the Cavs on Friday night. So look forward to that. Jay, any other basketball takeaways from this game? I have a question for you. Which ankle crossing was better? Jason Tatum crossing up Cade Cunningham or Asar Thompson crossing up Jason Tatum?
The Cade Cunningham.
He made the 3. Absolutely, that one's better. But I have not seen I don't remember a time I've ever seen Jason Tatum crossed up or stumble like that playing perimeter defense. Can you?
Yeah, he's not really one to stagger around. It was a great play, but Tatum, Cade was literally like on all fours. He was on all fours, like crawling in the opposite direction.
I don't think he was not crawling. He did not leave his feet.
He was crawling. The Cade one?
The one where Tatum crossed up Cade and made the 3?
You have to go look at it again because he was literally like crawling on all fours in the opposite direction. You don't see that very often.
I do not recall.
Pull it up right now. I need to see you watch this and realize that Cade Cunningham was literally crawling away from Jason Tatum as Jason Tatum drilled a 3.
Jason Tatum drops Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
He didn't fall to his knees. He put his hands on the ground. His hands hit the ground.
All fours.
It was not all 4. I mean, it was all 4s, but he did not fall to his knees. There's not a crawl there.
He looked like my son, just like fucking crawling away.
He fell to the ground and placed his hands on the ground.
It was a tough look. It was a tough look. But Tatum did get God as well. Don't get it twisted. He got God as well, but it wasn't to that level. Tatum has dropped a few people lately. I feel like he's on a streak lately.
I feel like his handle is better this year. And is that a prisoner for the moment take?
No,
Yeah.
I think it seems tighter. I think especially like it seems like big guys have almost no chance when he's going downhill against them. He's just been like, that's when you can see the change of direction. He has just an ability to operate with his handle at full speed that very few guys his size do. And when you combine that with the threat of the pull-up three, then guys are in trouble. And some guys like Cade just start crawling away.
A couple more basketball plays. The Derek White grenade three to jump alley-oop three was pretty cool. Never really seen that before.
That was incredible. I don't know if I'd ever seen something like that either. And that's so hard to do. Like, because you get your power from your legs most of the time, and like to jump in the air, it's unfathomable that he was able to make that shot. Like, Drew put him in a terrible position, throwing him that ball
pass to throw
that late in the shot clock.
1 second left on the shot clock. Yeah, but he made it work. And then on the other highlight, Jordan Walsh tried to go for an absolutely homicidal poster dunk
for it.
Like two-handed
really
one. To try to poster someone with two hands is wild.
He like cocked it back, and it was in traffic. Man, that was ambitious. Truly ambitious. I wrote Jordan Walsh tried to do some shit.
Yeah, that he did.
There was a beautiful play early on before Drew started short-circuiting when he caught the ball on the left wing, and I was like, why isn't Drew shooting this? He kind of hesitated for a second. He's wide open. What is he doing? And then he fed Jason Tatum for a cutting dunk. Beautiful pass. There was another great play when Porzingis had a three after like a drive, swing.
That was I had in my notes for that play. The ball has energy. That was a classic Brad Stevens. Like, you play the right way basketball, the shot's going to go in just because that's just how the energy, the karma of basketball works. You drive, swing. The ball's going in every time.
Nemi had a play that made me wonder just how much the Celtics coaches yelled at him for how much he fouled in Toronto, because Oscar Thompson just kind of drove at him, and instead of absorbing the contact and being strong, and he just kind of let Oscar Thompson just like pulverize him down low and go in for easy layup. I was wondering if he just took a beating in the film session. They were like, you got to stop fouling. No more fouling, Nemi. And then he had that on his mind while Thompson was going right at him, because he provided like no resistance. It was a very strange play from Nemi that allowed Thompson to score a layup on him. I think that was in the first half.
Do you remember the grand Nemi-Cornette debates of November 2024 and how wrong all the Nemi people were because he's not a rotation level big man in the NBA at this point, or ever was?
Is this the time for your victory lap?
It was. I wouldn't say it's a full lap, but it was kind of a victory cruise by, a victory drive by. It's just like it's not winning basketball really anytime he's on the court. He will make a nice play on one end and then immediately give up a bucket on the other end. I feel like this is what I've been trying to say since November, is that he's not great at basketball. Well, I mean, in the relative scheme of things, he's one of the 450 best basketball players in the world. But on the scale of the NBA, I think he's in the lowest 10%. Do you think he's one of the worst 45 players in the league?
Probably not. There's some pretty rough players in the NBA.
Did you see Nick Stauskas' tweet today?
Speaking of rough NBA players, no, I did not see Nick Stauskas' tweet. I haven't thought about former Celtics legend Nick Stauskas.
I haven't thought about Sauce Castillo in a while, but this is a tweet from yesterday. Quote, I mean no disrespect by this. Asking as a happily retired player, lol, how in the hell does Kessler Edwards have a job in the NBA, let alone a starter for a team coming off an NBA Finals run? I'm just confused as to what his strengths are and what he does to impact a game. Just a wild move for Nick Stauskas to be just tweeting about Kessler Edwards. Like,
I can appreciate tweeting like that. Why is that a wild move? He's just a basketball fan on Twitter like anyone else. Just happened to make some money playing the game in a former life, and now he's watching the Mavericks like anyone else, and it's just like, what's going on out there? Why is Kessler Edwards? What does he do for your team? Why do teams keep trusting him with minutes?
You know, you just
Why
don't
why do
see-
teams keep trying him even though he shoots 25.9% from 3 and doesn't really defend as well as his physical gifts would suggest?
Wow, I didn't. You're basically smashing the RT button on that Sauce Castillo tweet.
I'm just saying it. Sometimes you gotta let a tweet fly. I couldn't sit here and tell him not to let a tweet fly, or given my history on the Twitter sphere.
I'm just surprised
I'd be
you
a
don't normally
hypocrite.
see like average NBA players, former NBA players, taking shots at other below average. It's just it was unexpected. I guess I don't have a critique of the content. I was just surprised to see it come across my Twitter timeline.
I would love to see the reply. I got to go look at the replies to that Nick Stauskas tweet. Were people shitting on him? Were they with him on this one?
The first reply is a quote of a Drake tweet saying bench players talking like starters. I hate it. Yeah, it's a bunch of people shitting on Nick Stauskas. Right.
See, it's a bunch of bench players. This is why the world is so dumb. You're mad at him because he's taking a shot at somebody else who played in the NBA. Meanwhile, you're taking a shot at a guy who played in the NBA when you never came close.
Someone said right message but wrong messenger. And I think that's kind of encapsulates people's general reaction to it. I mean, you could have tweeted a similar thing about Nick Stauskas and his many stops in his NBA career,
which is fine. People could have tweeted it. He might have tweeted it himself.
Walker Kessler might have tweeted, not Walker Kessler. Kessler Edwards. Walker Kessler too.
Which is fine. You don't have to be a genius to know that Kessler Edwards is not like the greatest basketball player ever. You don't have to have a pedigree in the game. And Nick Stauskas does have a pedigree. And he was a great college player. He was a first-round draft
legend. Yeah.
He stayed in the league for a while. Fought his way back in the league. Like, I think he had 60 twice in a row in the G League, or 50 twice in a row at least. Shout out to Nick Stauskas.
I do not think
Kessler Edwards could never.
No, he doesn't. He's not on the Texas Legends. All right, we've officially transitioned to the junk drawer portion of the evening. This is where, sometimes you make observations that are not exactly basketball related when you're watching a basketball game. And so this is where we have an avenue for that. Jay, did you know that Cranbrook was a real school?
Yeah, it's a private school.
Yeah, I knew it was a private school, but I didn't know it was a real private school. Did you know that? I had to look it up today. Real people go to Cranbrook, like Papa Doc.
Yeah, Cranbrook's a real school.
You motherfucker, you didn't know that. I mean, how do you feel about Little Caesars Pizza? Because I think it's bad, but
Little Caesars Pizza is solid.
At that arena, it's pretty good, but like a general Little Caesars Pizza that's been sitting out for 4 hours, not great.
Why would you have it if it's been sitting out for 4 hours? Why wouldn't you order it?
They just say it's hot and they just have a bunch of pizzas waiting under a heat lamp. That's the entire Little Caesars business model.
Little Caesars is legit. I think it's among the chain pizza places that you can order from across the globe. Little Caesars is up there.
Domino's clears Little Caesars.
Disagree. And I'm a Domino's guy. Believe me, I've probably ordered more Domino's than 99.9999999% of individuals out there. But
how you feel about lava cakes?
I don't really mess with desserts.
Garbage take. Don't mess with desserts.
If I'm ordering pizza, I'm gonna buy like 3 pizzas and have all of them to my face.
That's fair.
In college, we used to get $21 over Christmas break.
777 deal.
Over Christmas break, we used to get $21 for 3 meals a day. The dining hall was closed because the school was shut down, and we had 2-a-day practices. It was a miserable time. It was so fucking cold at Skidmore College campus. We were us and the girls basketball team were the only ones on campus. Maybe the hockey team too. And it was just miserable. But you get $21. There's not a lot of $21 doesn't go a long way when you need to purchase 3 meals per day. without having like a kitchen in your little dorm room. And I got the 5-5-5 meal every single day. I ate 3 pizzas per day the entire Christmas break. While practicing twice a day. I probably would have been a much better basketball player if I had not just eaten pizza every single day. But my pizza takes hold weight, as does my stomach.
I was going to say, you know who else hold weight? You during winter break. Now, Jay, were you able to catch the halftime performance at the Pistons game?
No. Some of us don't just order the others in the podcast to produce halftime content. Some of us actually produce the halftime content.
What halftime content did you produce today?
I did a little video.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I told you should do that. It's a good idea. It's good content.
Yeah. Instead of just doing it yourself, you just pawn it off on the others. So, but I did.
Hey, who came up with that idea though?
I've done it 2 straight games. It was a good idea by you.
Well, kind of took me by surprise there. It's a good job, Jay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now my whole rant about the weird indie pop song that was performed at halftime really seems undercut by the work you put in terms of your reaction video. And so, yeah, if you want that type of content, that
what was it indie?
It was this Canadian female vocalist singing just like a light and airy indie pop song that just did not work at all for halftime of an NBA game. And it was just very awkward. I've never actually seen have you ever been in the building? You've been to so many NBA games. Have you ever been to a good halftime performance, like a musical performance? The best I can think of is the Quad City DJs, but that's just because they're playing the Space Jam song or Come On Ride the Train. Like, it's really tough, like a high degree of difficulty to perform for 5 minutes at halftime.
Yeah, I would actually, if I were a musical artist, I would shy away from doing a halftime show, even though you're performing in front of 19,000 people or whatever. It's not worth it because of those 19,000 people are going to get your music at like the worst it possibly could be.
The sound check and the acoustics are terrible.
Yeah. Mace had a particularly awful one.
That was bad.
That was like
York,
as bad as it gets at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, he was like huffing and puffing. He was old and out of shape. Like just like he had run a marathon. He was just gasping for breath. Now he has a podcast.
Now he has a podcast with Cameron. So you know what? Maybe he's figured things out. But it's just tough performance from. I've already forgotten the artist's names, but it's I thought it was a fine song. I went back and listened to it. Like what the mixing as is intended to be heard to. It was a fun song for spring, and so maybe give her another chance if I could recall her name. All right, final thing I have, and I don't know how you feel about this as a NBA reporter, but did you see that NBA Centel is no longer on Twitter?
So I saw some murmurs of that.
Taking down all their tweets.
I don't know exactly what happened. Why is Centel gone?
I don't know. No one knows. No, they're just gone from our lives. And like Centel,
they should be gone from our life. There is nothing good about Centel.
NBA Central should be gone from our lives. Centel is a comedy brand. That's a satiric. That's like The Onion. They're doing bits. That's fine. That's art.
They're not
Central
good
is straight
bits,
aggregation.
You can't be a comedy bit if you just do dumb shit that is not funny at all.
No, so they've evolved.
Centel should be
funny stuff.
Centel is stupid.
No, they do. They're high. I would say they're not an efficient. They're a low efficiency tweeter. Like their hits are not often, but they can do some funny stuff that makes me chuckle. Centel culture, I think, is generally good for the internet, whereas like Legion Hoops or NBA Central, just the aggregating websites that they're kind of making fun of, those are the really bad ones because they'll just report absolutely anything out of context, and they're trying to be newsbreakers.
I think Centella is the worst thing that's come to the internet.
Yeah, but you
since-
don't like
since
fun.
Sam
You're not a
Packard.
guy who enjoys fun things or like whimsy or like people making jokes other than Nick Stauskas.
I just don't see what is funny about Centella. There's nothing clever about it. They just do dumb shit and pretend like, oh, this is fake, so it's cool. It's not cool. It's stupid.
They made up a story that said the Mavericks were banning Luka Doncic jerseys at games, and then a bunch of people believed it, including Colin Cowherd. That's funny.
That's not
funny.
funny.
When people,
That's not funny.
it's something the Mavericks would do. I think that is humorous. I find that to be humorous.
There's
Jay.
nothing funny about it.
All right, I'm going to click the button. Do you have any junk, Jay? Before we end up the show, any other
Weird
observations?
question to ask a man.
Well, I don't think it's that weird.
Strange question to ask a man.
I didn't ask to describe the junk; just asked if you had any.
My junk is all basketball junk.
Well, let's hear it. Empty your notebook.
Pritchard had a huge and one after the Celtics fell behind by 13 when Isaiah Stewart just flattened him.
Yeah, no, we talked about that, but thank you.
I know, but it was a huge and one. We didn't talk about that. That was a big bucket that could have allowed the Celtics to get back in the game if they had any energy, life, whatever. They did not, but big bucket from Peyton Pritchard. He took a beating. Then, like, moments after that, he got swiped in the face. He started bleeding. It was a tough night to beat Peyton Pritchard. Tough minute, I guess, to beat Peyton Pritchard there. A lot of missed free throws. Kristaps missed a pair. Tatum missed a technical free throw. 1 for 4 from the free throw line in the first half. Just a strange free throw shooting half for the Celtics.
Baylor Shireman missed one. Baylor Shireman, wow. Baylor Shireman had a wide open layup to end the game and like got the pump fake, got the guy up in the air, and then just didn't shoot and was like looking to pass. And it just felt like, come on, Baylor. You're dropping 30 points in the G League and you're going to be a coward when you get into the game at the end of a game? Just take the fucking layup.
They made a good pass to, I believe it was J.D. Davison moments earlier, though, after driving into the paint. So shout out to Baylor. He's working on his game.
Real two different messages for Baylor right there. But yeah, it's
tough haircut, though, sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah, he never really recreated the magic of his fade when he first came to Boston.
Yeah, might have to hit the barber. Maybe find a new barber.
Any other notes?
I got nothing. What you got for junk?
I've exhausted my list. Other than Tobias Harris getting a technical, you don't see that every day.
What? Okay, I got a gripe with the waving text. Why is a wave an automatic tech?
It's
Why?
dismissive. It's disrespectful. It hurts the referee's feelings.
It's just there's nothing but ego that makes that a technical foul. There in no way should that be an automatic technical foul. A guy is doing that because he's frustrated in a moment because he thinks you missed a call. He's not cussing you out. He's not doing anything physically to hurt you. He's not doing anything that crosses the line. He's simply waving at you.
They should develop.
Why is that something that like the NBA will let a player just yell at a ref for some refs let it
As long as they don't swear or like say anything, you can
but
like
if
really
you
scream at them.
wave, it's an automatic tech. I just don't understand the double standard there, and it just seems so stupid that and obviously guys should know not to just don't wave at a ref, but in the moment sometimes you just go with it. You just want to wave at the guy, wave him off.
The NBA should fine the referees who call those techs for like weakness. Like just like Josh Hart got the $2,000 fine for flopping, there should be just a small nominal fine, but like publicly announce it that this ref is soft and can't deal with a wave or a clap.
And like that one was a weak wave too. Like he just kind of waved and then turned his back and went back on defense. And like before he could get back on defense, he was hit with a tech. Just weak. Weak-minded refs. Who
should be publicly shamed for it. I'm glad we're doing it here today. That that's going to do it for us, folks. I thought there was no chance in hell we're going to do 40 minutes on this basketball game, but that's the Still Poddable difference. And so if you want more Still Poddable, go to patreon.com/stillpoddable. We are here for you every single day, Monday through Friday. We'll be back after the big Celtics matchup against the Cavaliers on Friday night with another live Poddable post-game show. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we really appreciate anyone who subscribed, the kids, the gods, and the legends, and everyone who's watching live on YouTube and Twitter right now. Thank you for watching Still Poddable.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. The POSTGAME, still Poddable.